Hi, this is John Garrick, and I'm bringing you 5 Minutes of Hope. I'm recording outside my office here in Oregon City. It's a beautiful day, but there's a lot of road noise, so be patient with the audio. But I just wanted to share with you out here on this 9th of April, 2020, which many around the world call Maundy Thursday. Maundy meaning mandate, the mandate that God fulfilled through the cross and the resurrection to redeem humanity, but also the mandate that Christ was giving his disciples to live in a new way, a new covenant, living by his grace and seeing Christ as the Redeemer, and to be one that is humble and serving of other people. I talked about servanthood and humility on Monday, but Jesus really wants us to understand, to have clarity about who he is so that we can live in a life of hope. Now, here's why I know it, because in John chapter 14, after he washed the disciples' feet, he hangs out with the disciples and he's telling them, he's saying, listen, don't let your hearts be troubled, because they were facing hardship. They were. I mean, things were tough, just like for you and me, they're tough. We're watching the models. We're like, hey, are we going to bring the corona curve down? How are we going to start the economy? What's happening with my family? When am I going to be able to see my loved ones that are away? How can I get back to church? Totally get all those things. They're real. These disciples, man, they were facing a lot of confusion and uncertainty. They were trying to get it understood as to what Jesus was talking about. And he said to them, he said, hey, listen, you guys know the way to the place I'm going. And they start talking amongst themselves and going, what is he talking about? Finally, Thomas steps up and says, Lord, I'm not sure we know what you're saying. He said, we don't know where you're going, so how are we going to know the way? You can find this in John chapter 14 in the very end, like verse 5. And this is what he said. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father but through me. So he was saying, James, Thomas, guys, you don't have to go to the left or right. It's right here. I'm the way. Don't look for your hope and your satisfaction and your redemption any other place but right here. Jesus was saying to them later in verse 7, if you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you know him and you have seen him. Wow. What was he trying to tell his disciples? Well, the same thing that he later does in chapter 15 and verse 16 and 17. On this journey to the Garden of Gethsemane, he begins to share and talk with the disciples, bringing them clarity of who he is. Clarity that he's part of a triune God, that he's the person of Jesus, but he is also God, the Father, and the Holy Spirit, which is fascinating when you think about the fact that he says in verse 15, he said, I am the vine, you are the branches. He said, and I'll just read it out of chapter 15, verse 5. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him, he bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Hey, I don't even pretend to understand all that is happening around our culture in our world right now. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical personnel, I'm not an economist. I'm a simple guy. But I do know this. I know that God is faithful. I know that wherever I am, and I've been all over the world, and we'll take time to talk about that. The reality is this. You and I can count on Jesus saying he is who he is. So to foster hope in our lives, I just want to encourage you. Yeah, continue to watch the curves, continue to be diligent to do the things we need to do to protect our neighbors, to keep from the virus. Man, I wouldn't want that on you or me or anyone. I really wouldn't. I'm trying to do everything I can for spatial distancing and all that. But the reality is this, that whether I get the virus or not, God is who he says he is. And the more we can understand about that, the more we can know that, then hope is fostered in our lives. So I want to encourage you, get clarity about who God is. Dive into the book of John. Find it out, especially 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Read through those between now and Easter and check it out, because he promised that he would leave the Holy Spirit and that he would be present in our lives. And he is present in our lives. Truly is. So I want to encourage you, get clarity, understand who Jesus is, for he is the way, the truth, and the life. And he is the way. So whatever you do, pass on this, would you? Share the hope with someone else. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and share it on social media. And remember this, you're loved deeply. And whatever you're facing, around every corner, there's hope. I'll see you next time.